My name is Brandon Lush. I've done over $14 million in sales on TikTok, and I've made over $100,000 in commission a month since August of 2024.
What is the biggest secret to making that much money?
Understanding why content works and tapping into customer psychology.
How much in commission are you at for the month?
This month is over 100,000.
From just using your phone?
Just using my phone.
Just you, no employees, no, like nothing like that?
That's right.
You're just making TikTok Shop videos. And what was the secrets to doing over 2 million in 1 month? Welcome back to the #1 social commerce podcast on the internet. Today we are joined by probably the biggest guest that we've had so far, Brandon Lush. My boy Brandon. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So Brandon, what do you do for a living?
TikTok Shop.
TikTok Shop. Incredible. So I want to get into your whole story. I want to start like from the beginning, work it all the way up. But give us let's break down some of your numbers so we can introduce you as a guest.
Yeah, absolutely. Since I started TikTok in May of 2024, I've done $14 million in GMV.
$14 million all through your iPhone.
All through my iPhone.
And what was the time length of that?
It's a year and a half now, I believe. Yeah.
A year and a half, $14 million.
Yes.
What has been your highest month in sales and commissions?
It was actually just this past month in November. Commissions was $250,000, and sales was a little over $2 million.
$2 million in sales. And then you said you had a goal for Q4. What was that goal?
I set out to do $500,000 in commission in Q4.
And what are you at right now?
$506,000.
Congratulations. That's profit.
Profit, yes.
Wow. Okay. From a year ago, we go back a year ago. How much take home have you taken home for like the year? I guess if you said your earnings in a year.
Right. From a year, for this year, it's, with this last month, sorry, I got to do math in my head.
No worries.
About 1.4.
$1.4 million in a year.
Take home, yeah.
Profit.
That's
incredible. First of all, thank you for being so open and transparent.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that you're going to inspire a lot of people. So now let's break down, what exactly do you do for money on a day-to-day basis?
I make videos on products. A lot of different products. I do a lot of home-related products, but I do tools, car products. So I do TikTok Shop videos for them. I make a video about it with a link on there, and then I make a commission per each sale.
Incredible. Let's go back to the beginning. What were you doing before TikTok Shop?
Right before TikTok Shop, I was a hunting outfitter, and I did that for about 8 years full-time. I would take people hunting, which is a big market industry here in Texas. A lot of corporate customers, a lot of corporate entertaining, big groups, a lot of oil field type stuff. And so I did that. I was in like the exotic animal business. And before that, I was in the healthcare world.
Wow.
Yeah.
So growing up, what was like your whole goal in life?
Man, that's a tough question. I just wanted to be in a position that I was comfortable. I have an information systems degree from Texas A&M, and I am very good and savvy with technology, but I'm not the type of person that likes to sit in front of a computer all day either. And so I kind of put myself in a predicament there. And it's hard to find something that fit both worlds, So, and I actually think that this ended up being a good combination of that, because there's a lot of opportunity to use, tech. You don't have to be techie to do it, but gear and stuff like that. I think it's a good mix for me.
It was definitely a learning curve, I think, for you to start, right? And then
Huge
to go where you are now. So when you were younger, did you ever imagine you making more than $1 million in a year?
No. Even when I was older, I didn't imagine that, to be honest with you. Again, I've always dreamed of being, everyone dreams of being successful, but I never really defined a number to that. But when I had goals, before in other careers, that number wasn't there. It was, first $100,000 salary job, things like that. And then once you get there, it's, sites of like 200,000 things, but never saw that number coming. Still hard to believe.
What did your life look like growing up when you were young?
I had a good life. We weren't wealthy by any stretch of imagination, but my parents worked really hard and gave me a great home, me and my sister. They gave me a great opportunity. They helped pay for my schooling. I did work. Growing up, summers before I even turned 16, I worked all through college too. My parents did pay for my college, but all the other expenses, those were mine. So they definitely instilled a work ethic from the get-go. And at the time, I hated it, but I'm definitely thankful for it now.
Wow. So you feel like you got that work ethic from your parents?
Definitely. I mean, they always provided for me and gave me all the opportunities I could ask for, but they also asked me to work constantly and put the importance of that in my head. And so like I said, at the time I wasn't very thankful for it. You know, all my friends were just hanging out and having fun. But now it's definitely paid off.
With this whole internet thing, when you were growing up, because how old are you now?
36.
36. When you were growing up and when you were getting a little older, you started seeing like the emergence of social media and like YouTubers and like even TikTok. Like, what was your initial thought of TikTok?
So to take it a step back, what always makes me feel old is the first iPhone came out my freshman year of college. So you know, before then, I always say that kind of redefined the internet and redefined, like, social media didn't really exist much before then. I mean, MySpace kind of, but so that, to me, that was like a pretty late point in my life for like that big of an impact of the internet change happening. So that one always kind of blows my mind. So growing up young, I never saw it. Like, I mean, we had a computer that if you got on the internet, you couldn't make a phone call at the house, right? You know, because
Yeah,
it would
it's
take up
crazy.
the same line. So, I with a tech mindset, you know, I was always into, like, you know, video games and was interested in computers, and I think that kind of led to my interest in even social media down the line. And I even used social media to build my hunting business. You know, that was kind of a main platform for me, was the Meta platforms, actually.
So you get introduced into social media. You're doing it for your hunting business. At what point do you introduce TikTok into your life?
Recently. So I was at a transition point in my hunting business. I have a son that's about to turn 5, and that business kind of required me to be gone all the time, especially. So I was looking to transition. There's a few things going on in my life that a transition was important. And since I had built that business on other platforms, I was kind of hiding out on TikTok, to be honest with you, like, to try to figure out what I was, you know, going to do. And I came across, you know, kind of similar to most people's story, I came across someone that said they were making some money, and I was like, well, that's a good way to make some extra cash. And it never saw what was coming the next year and a half from that moment.
And like, I feel like coming from the outdoors thing, like being an influencer, it kind of seems like the opposite of
Right.
what you were used to.
Right.
So do you feel like there was any like barriers or like any like humbling that you had to do internally to like post a video on TikTok?
Absolutely. I'll say at the beginning, I think everyone goes through this, or if they don't, they're lucky. But I think you have to forget what everyone else thinks. You know, you got to put yourself in a position, because when you start this, you're not going to be good at it, and you're going to look silly. And oftentimes when I started, I was doing a format that I still look back at, and I think silly. Like, when I first started having success, I see those videos all the time still, like, especially on other platforms. And I'm like, man, that's so silly, you know. But I'm thankful that I was in the position to let my ego or my guard down, you know, and do something like that, to have that success, because now I'm confident about it and can confidently say that that was silly. You know what I mean? But I know what it led to. But yeah, it's hard at first.
Right.
It's hard.
And when you started TikTok, like what was the first thing that you did? How did you?
So I tried a few supplements at first, which I was not successful with. But my first piece of success came from a book, and it was the Holistic Guide to Wellness. And at that time when I started, there was another book on TikTok that had just gotten banned on TikTok. It was the Forgotten Lost Remedies book. It was a green one.
Yeah.
So the book I started doing was from that same shop, but I had seen all the success these people were having with that other book. So I was like, oh, that's kind of seems like an untapped, I don't know, no one really thinks about books, I guess, or it doesn't get as much attention as you would think. And so based off studying those other videos, and I came up with this format, and it worked. And I think one thing about those books was, since it was kind of health related, everyone was inclined to comment their personal health issue, because in the videos I would show what the book said, kind of a brief, like I would just show like kind of what the subsections were of that chapter. And so, like, organically everyone commented what they wanted to see, right? And so, I mean, I would just have thousands and thousands and thousands of comments on these videos. So they would just keep rolling, and I would be doing this format over and over.
So you were comment replying.
Right.
Okay.
Comment replying, and I could do the same comment reply over and over because so many people would like, they wouldn't see the video before, right? Or the last time I did whatever, health system it was, right? And so everyone, I could just do it over and over and over again. So, but it also came with challenges. That was the beginning of TikTok, and there's a lot of violations and stuff those days. And we actually had the book. The algorithm was auto banning the book on me. So TikTok had given the book the green light, and I was having a lot of success with it. And there's a couple times that I woke up and my account was locked and the book was gone. And at those times, I didn't have a rep at TikTok or at SPM or anything, and so I'd be on support chat, which is still to this day not a very great way of getting anything accomplished with TikTok. But TikTok actually had to create a whitelist. That was when a lot of things get whitelisted nowadays, but that was why the whitelist was created then, because they couldn't stop the algorithm from banning the book. So finally they got that done, and we got back going. But I ended up pivoting to other books at the beginning. And so for the first 4 or 5 months, I was just doing books. Like I only did 5 products, and they were all books. And was using the same structure, same format for all the different types of books, and it was working. And that's how it all got started.
So what was the reason they were banning those books?
So TikTok is a little sensitive about like health, advice or medical advice, and on TikTok Shop and specifically, and those rules are a lot more clear now. As TikTok has grown, and we've all grown through those things. I don't personally do supplements or anything anymore, kind of because of those days. I do some here and there, but I still try to stay away. There's a lot more rules for that on TikTok, but so the algorithm basically was defining it as some sort of red flag for medical advice, even though I was giving none. A lot of those videos, I rarely even said much. But so they knew that, TikTok knew that internally, which was nice, but the algorithm itself, I guess, has the functionality in there to decide when something triggers enough alarms, and the type of volume I was doing was triggering alarms, so it was auto-banning it.
What did that first book, what were the sales looking like for you? How much did you start making?
So my first really successful month, I made like 20 grand, and I was obviously shocked. I ended up having that money locked up for a while in that account because it was locked.
No.
Yeah. But the first month, first successful month, I made 20. The next month, I made 50, and then it went back down again in August, and I did I want to say 20 again, and then September, my account was unlocked, and at that time I'd already created 2 other accounts doing other stuff that was working, and so September, when my main account got unlocked, I had my second largest month ever still to this day, and in that span of between May and December of that year, I did about $2 million in sales of those books.
Wow. And then what was your second biggest month that you said?
My second biggest month was September that year, and I can't remember what the sales number was, but my commission was $180,000.
$180,000, and that was books still.
Yes.
So you were just strictly books at the beginning.
Books at that point.
Okay, so at what point, how long did it take you to get successful to that $20,000 mark between you starting supplements and then from you making that?
Honestly, it was a lot shorter than a lot of people, and I'm very thankful for that because I really dove all in and kind of put all my eggs in that basket, which I don't necessarily recommend that's the route you take. Make sure everything else is taken care of before you commit to something like that. But so it was about 45 days of trying. But when I say 45 days, in that 45 days, I probably had 5 accounts banned for just trying all sorts of crazy, angles and learning. I was up all night, all day. I obsessed over it. I was taking in content, learning as much as I could. I probably worked more in those 45 days than I've ever worked in my life trying to understand it and figure it out. And I don't know, something in me just drove me to push on it. And I guess my gut was right on that one, since we're sitting here talking about it.
Right, 100%. So I feel like you trying and failing again and again is really important, because a lot of people would have given up after a week.
Right.
After 3 days of doing it.
Right.
But what are some of the things that you really found that put you in that good direction? Was it, a lot of people say community? Was it your own research? How did you figure out how to do it?
So I will say something that I always give credit to. When I first started, I had joined a community creators corner with Jimmy Farley.
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
you spoke with him recently. Jimmy Farley, I credit a lot of where I am now because of his course that he gave me, and one specific thing that was in it. At that time, I felt like I was making good content, but it wasn't good shop, like TikTok shop content. It wasn't converting content, but I couldn't figure out why. Like there was something missing, and that was the first time after I signed up for that course. It was like the first day I was going through the course, and I saw a visual representation of the structure of a TikTok shop video. Like, and from there, it just clicked for me. Like I kind of, that's what I needed to see to put all my pieces together. And to this day, thank you, Jimmy, if you see this, because that was huge. And Jimmy helped me with a bunch of stuff back then when I was having trouble with accounts, and and we had no one to talk to. Jimmy was a huge help, so I always attribute a lot of that to him.
I love that. That's insane. So we have $180,000 a month. You're doing strictly just books.
Yep.
From that point on, when do you try something else?
It was about that exact time in September. I had seen everyone kind of caught on to what I was doing, right? I was doing this format over and over again, and I didn't really have much competition. There was one guy that was doing the books with me, faceless, voiceless content, which I just recently figured out who it was. And I learned a ton from this guy. His name's Dustin. He recently started, doing some TikTok Shop coaching style videos. And what's funny is I never heard his voice. I never saw his face. But when I saw his videos on TikTok recently talking about the psychology behind videos, I realized it was him without even knowing it was him. Like that's how much of his content I was studying at the time. But once people started catching on to what I was doing, everyone started doing the same video format as me, and I had a kind of like an awakening moment there to where I was like, uh-oh, like maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I just got really lucky with the structure and script, and like I don't know anything else yet, like I don't know any other products. I don't know how to sell anything else. I just sell these. And so I had a pretty hard transition point right then and there that I was like, from now on, I'm going to do whatever product I think I can sell or I think would sell, and I'm going to try to figure out how to sell it and try to make videos for it. And so at that point, I transitioned from 4 or 5 books to anything and everything. And I did everything. I mean, if you look around here, I've done everything. I still do everything. And that was me forcing myself to figure it out. It was the line in the sand for me. Either I was going to be able to do TikTok Shop long term and figure out how to do other products, or I was going to be a fizzled out, book salesman. So, I mean, that's what it was.
So you talk about a lot that you like study
Right.
people.
Right.
When you study somebody, what is it specifically that you look for?
I have a tough time often verbalizing all the details. I think when you absorb content enough and you are successful with it, you become like good at just identifying it. But that's what I love about watching Dustin's videos. He understands the psychology behind. I'm like, that's why I do that, And I'm not the one that always comes up with the great things to say it, but I always take the old rule of, in order to be successful on TikTok Shop, you have to get people to stop on your video. I think to me that is 90% of the battle. And so a lot of times I've studied hooks like crazy, and not the conventional style, like to where everyone says like the first words you say. Like I'm talking like the first second and a half of videos a lot of times, because we all scroll, right? And getting someone to stop that scroll is what's important. And so when I'm watching content, I challenge myself to truly understand why I stopped, right? Because what made me stop on that video and watch it? Because it was something. I didn't randomly stop. You didn't randomly stop on it. People don't randomly stop on my videos either. It's whether it's movement, lighting, a noise, a visual. There's something there that makes you stop. And so studying that, and then from there, cadence, speed, tonality, learning visuals from people, different angles of doing, recording, and then and then just overall style and attitude and things like that, personality. I like, in the beginning, I felt like I had no personality in my videos, like, and now as I have grown and gotten better, I feel like I can I can be myself more and still hit all the things I need to hit to make a successful TikTok Shop video.
What do you think is single-handedly the most important thing?
For a TikTok Shop video,
Yeah.
the first second and a half.
Okay.
I will say it over and over, and I say that, and I feel like so many people still overlook it, or they don't. It's almost, you have to look at it differently. Like, it's the way you normally absorb content as just a user on an app. It's a mindless like type of absorption, and you're really, as a shop creator, you're trying to capitalize on that. And so what you have to there's this like thing that'll click in your head when you start realizing, okay, it has nothing to do with what they're saying. It has nothing to do with this. Like, I stopped on this video because it was at this angle, and whatever reason that thing there looked weird. Like, and when you start being able to pick up on those cues, I think that's really when you start taking big leaps in being successful on Shop. From there, obviously you have to sell the product, right? But I think still to this day, getting people to stop is the main thing I focus on. Everything after that, I could be less satisfied with. But if I was happy with how I started that video, then I'm gonna run with it.
So it's a lot of like audience psychology that you study, for sure. And then I guess a personal question that I have is like, when you're focusing so much on the hook, the TikTok algorithm, would you agree that it'll decide if your video is an entertainment video or if it's a shoppable video?
Right.
If you're focusing so much on the first second and a half, right? Like, I could do a video where I'm jumping off this into a pool.
Right.
How do you make sure that hook goes to a shoppable audience?
That's a really good question, and I'll tell you, it's changed. So for a long time, especially when GMV Max first started, which is the new way that they run ads, I quickly got into what I was talking about, right? Like almost like a infomercial type style. I still would do something in the hook to get people to stop, but like right away I was talking about it. Lately, I've been trying to mix that with extending watch time. I think that's a big factor that goes into it right now. So now it's like finding a game of, dragging it out for 4 to 5 seconds before I show them exactly what it's about. But the risk of that is you get a lot more non-shop audience. However, if you study analytics enough, there's a balance in there to where you need that non-shop audience in those organic views to get a better, ROAS, return on ad spend score, because those organic views will drive more organic views of shop audience instead of just paid ad audience.
Interesting.
So even though there's a good example, one of my buddies, Ty, he does really good at doing skit style videos, and those skit style videos get tons of views, tons of organic views. There's often times where I can convert better and have millions of less views, but he will sell more. Like in sales total, like my conversion per view is way higher, but his total sales off the same thing will be triple mine because that organic audience is pushing it out more and more. So it's an interesting balance, to where you almost need it even though they're not customers.
So do you feel like the way that TikTok Shop is going, it almost has to be a mix of like edutainment?
I think so, at least right now. And one of the things I think about being, that's necessary when you're a TikTok Shop creator is recognizing when that changes, right? Like recognizing you got to stay up with what is working and understanding what is working, but not in the sense of just that particular script style, the psychology of why it's working, right? And you can start seeing shifts in when that changes. You can start seeing when that changes, and the earlier you can do that, the more ahead you'll be. And if you can stay on top of it, then that's when you can start having consistent numbers. A lot of people that do TikTok Shop have a lot of peaks and valleys. And I still have those, don't get me wrong, but I think staying on top of all that is one of the reasons why I've been able to be very consistent throughout the whole time.
And then you, Brandon Lush, as a TikTok Shop creator, I feel like you're very well branded now. you have the shop, you have the look, you have the hair, you have the name. How important do you feel like it is to brand yourself versus just like faceless content? You're just selling the sale, you know.
I think it depends what your goals are. Um, I think I don't think you need any of it to make money doing TikTok Shop. Um, I feel like I only recently started being focused on personal branding more than ever. Um, at the beginning, I was just trying to make sales. I feel as TikTok grows, TikTok always comes out with new things that they say that they want you to work on, um, verticalization. There's different things that they want. They always show signs of wanting their shop creators to be more of influencers. I feel like that's at least how I interpret a
Right,
lot of
yeah.
things they say. Sometimes they throw crazy stats out there like, oh, a good TikTok shop video will have a 75% completion rate. I'm like, I've never had a video with 75% completion rate. Like that's like influencer long format style
Right.
completion rates, right? So to me that says that's kind of what they're thinking, their ideal shop creator is. And I don't always agree with everything that they say as what works, but as I grow as a creator on TikTok, I also try to grow with them, with TikTok and try to adapt to help figure out those types of things with them. But no, I think nowadays, if you're on a large scale, I think personal branding becomes a big deal for a lot of different reasons. One is a not so positive one is because my stuff gets used on other platforms with like bogus links and stuff all the time. And so if I don't brand myself and have, verified pages on all the other platforms to where people can actually see that it's me promoting that product, it opens this whole world of like people getting scammed and stuff. And even friends and family all the time will send me a picture, or a screenshot of a video, and I'm like, don't order from me on any other platform unless you see like a blue check mark. You know what I mean? So I think that has kind of also forced personal branding to become important because I hate for that type of stuff to happen with my face tied to it.
Right. Well, I think it's interesting the way that a lot of these agencies and companies are starting to like think of shop creators like they're having these events and these massive conventions and they're like
Right.
putting TikTok shop creators on massive banners and
Right.
advertising them for a mass audience to see to attract audiences. So I almost feel like we are going in that direction of
Right.
like them wanting to make you guys into like mini celebrities. Where do you feel like this whole TikTok shop creator is going in the future?
Well, if we follow what it's done in China, right, then it'll be influencer style, content. Um, I don't know that. I think it's an important part to be good at TikTok Shop. I think you have an advantage on TikTok if you're good at TikTok Shop and not an influencer when it gets to that point, right? Because I think you can transition into an influencer by your positioning as a TikTok Shop creator rather than being an influencer and trying to get into TikTok Shop that late. Because I think it's a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
Everyone all tells me that look, I make it look easy in my videos nowadays, and it's taken a lot to get to that point. And I promise, if like you see the raw footage, like it's not right. So I think it would be easier to be a TikTok Shop creator that turns into an influencer when TikTok gets to that point, and that's what it's done in China, right? Mostly live too, but I think we follow that trend. How fast it happens, I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. So you being like one of the first waves of a TikTok shop creator, what does a day in the life look like for you waking up to going to bed?
Well, I work way too late right now and get up too late too. But typically in the mornings, I get up and come around here. I poke through some of the products that I've gotten in. But these days, I go on TikTok and I look at what's available as far as inventory of products that I might want to post today. I don't batch film. I know a lot of people do. I don't, for multiple reasons, but I would love to figure out a good way of batch filming and feeling like I was doing the content at the level that I wanted to, but I haven't done that yet. So I'll look at what we have inventory of. These days, everything sells out really fast. So I could pick a product off the shelf in the morning, and then by the afternoon, like if I didn't pay attention and there was only a few hundred of them left, like it'd be sold out. So I spent time making a video and it would be there. So I check all those things, go through all my communications with my brands. And then typically by the afternoon, I'm starting to make videos. And I typically also make videos pretty late into the night. Um, when I started doing this, I was like staying up late and doing it. And so I've kind of gotten into this phase of I'll stay up till like 4 a.m. and I'll wake up at like 8 or 9.
Wow.
So, it's not, I wouldn't recommend that schedule, but I feel like during the day, I've always said my daytime is kind of, those hours are for everyone else, right? And then nighttime, everyone else is asleep, so I can get some stuff done. So I kind of work that way, but guilty of putting too many hours in. That's for sure.
Incredible. Yeah, that's insane. So I know that you mentioned to me before the pod that you have a goal every single month to hit. What's that goal for yourself?
$100,000 in commission.
100,000 in commission every single month. How long have you been doing that?
So since August of 2024, I have done it every single month besides one.
How many months is that?
It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't even know. It's a lot.
Every single month.
Every single month besides April of 2025. I know that month. I did like 75 that month too. I didn't do bad, but when you set a goal and you don't hit it, like that's the one you remember the most, right? That really drove me, and it was actually a point where I transitioned to kind of a new style of content a little bit, or I pushed myself to kind of come up with this. It's like this content that has a ton of different camera angles, a lot of quick cuts, and it was actually inspired by some of my favorite creators, Skateboard B, PNW Dad, Rad Dad. These are all people that I like, Ty, that I watch their content and enjoy it. And it's kind of like taking things from all of them and molding it into what like came out, so I give all those guys, and more people, there's people I didn't list there, a lot of credit for my growth, throughout this. But yeah, so it's been a good run.
I know that you are good friends with a lot of the top 1% creators, as am I. Who's your TikTok shop Mount? It's such a deep question. Who is your TikTok shop Mount Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore? Man, that's really tough. How many do I get to pick?
4.
4? All right. Well, I'm gonna put Ty on there. Oh God, you put me on the spot. I'm gonna put Allie on there, of course.
Influence queens.
And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick one from each category. I'm gonna put Matt Kalla on there.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put Bessie Britt on there.
Okay. Bestie Britt.
Yep.
Okay.
For home. So
nice.
I covered. Well, Ty's both. Ty's home too. But I think that's. I don't think there's a more respectable group of people right there. I mean, but honestly, there's more. I could give you I think there's about 10 people. Kayla's up there. Kayla absolutely did something monumental this year with numbers. I mean, just Dr. Malaxin sales like we have never seen before. So I think she's up there. And then I think there's some other players that fly a little bit lower that are just as good as the rest of them. Just product selection maybe, or there's some creators out there that I think haven't hit their peak yet that are about to blow up big.
100%. So I know that you're in a lot of these like circles with these top creators. What is the biggest thing that you see that they all do that makes them successful?
Adapt. They are very good at understanding they're very good at seeing what is working and understanding why it's working, right? They're not just copying someone's video because that video worked. These are the people that understand why that video worked. And that's why you see these same people always be the ones that are creating like the original version or like the trend or whatever. I think there's a handful of those people, and I think that is what makes you from a good shop creator to an elite shop creator, because if you understand why it works, then you have an unlimited amount of content you can create, right? But if you don't understand why it works, then you're always relying on someone else to create that content. And then you're just implementing your version of it or however you want to do it. But when you understand why it works, then you take a step up to being able to control. You can almost pick which products to go viral.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It really is. And especially if a couple of you get your heads together, me and Ty, we'll have a product come out and we talk every day and we'll be like, let's try to push this one today. And you'd be surprised how many times, if not both of us, one of us will push it and we'll even work the same angle. Just because if we can get the right amount of views on the same angle, you can almost create that wave, just by doing that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you're tapped in with a lot of the top creators again, as we said. But how if somebody's coming up on TikTok Shop and they want to be in that circle with you guys?
Yeah.
Like, how did you get familiar with all the biggest creators?
So I actually created. Me and Matt Kalla have always talked a lot too, and we deal with a lot of different issues when you kind of get to that level, and bigger issues that not just the support ticket or stuff is going to be able to solve. And we often found that we would see these issues happening a little bit before everyone else. And when we would bring them up in other communities, of people of all levels, people didn't see that yet. And it felt kind of like, we're kind of wasting our time doing this. We wish we had like a group of all the people that do it like at this level. Like, it's not any disrespect, but, you're trying to find a group of peers, right? And so we were talking about that, and I was like, dude, let me just reach out. I'm just going to start reaching out to a bunch of creators that I respect that are done this really well, and I'll put us all in a group text. And that's what I did. So, I have a group text probably with, I don't know how many millions in GMV on it, but we talk regularly, and it's a lot of people on the Rushmore list I told you. I have a ton of respect for these people. They're absolutely elite, and these are the people that know what is going on as it's happening, and they're definitely the names of, the people that you see on TikTok all the time. They're up there.
So you basically created what I know Mr. Beast talks about it when he was coming up. He said that, in order for him to get where he needed to be, it's faster when you're with a group of peers that make those mistakes first so you can climb higher together.
Right.
What are some of the things that you've learned in that group, or what is some of the benefits that you've done?
Man, it's hard to, I feel like a lot of it's indirect. It's not so black and white. Now, we've collectively gained a lot of contacts, right? Individually we had, but they're not always connected. Like I've gotten access to a lot of contacts, whether it be at TikTok or at brands, through that group. I've been able to, instead of wasting time trying to track down if a problem I'm seeing is happening, instead of spending all the time myself doing it, I can ask the group, and 9 times out of 10, someone else has already seen it. Someone else, we have all kind of, and then we can decide kind of together how we're gonna, is this something we need to like go work on? Who can, use this contact or do this to make that happen? And then we've even talked about, potentially leveraging it as a way to get some deals here in the future.
Do you guys ever see yourself like collectively starting a business together?
I don't think so. I think it takes away from what it is. When I first put it together, and I didn't expect it to go like to turn into what it is. Like, we've all become really good friends, which I think is really cool. And all from different parts of the world, all do different types of content, all have a massive respect for each other. And I think that's really cool. And when I was putting it together, one of the things I said was I just didn't want it to get too big, because then it becomes another Discord group or whatever, and that you're just put on mute, right?
Right.
So I wanted it to really just stay kind of, and it's grown, don't get me wrong. We've added people, and it's just, and there's no criteria or anything, it's more of like people we respect. If someone's like, hey, this person's been doing really good, I like their stuff, like, why don't we throw them in here? I don't want to think it's like,
Do you guys have like console meetings?
Yeah, no, it's not like that. It's much more laid back. That's the point, is for it to not be that way, right? Like, there's no real requirement or anything. It's just, there's people out there as a creator on Shop that you respect, and even if they're newer and you just see them doing it when you're doing this at a high level, you see other people doing it at a high level, you have that respect for it.
I mean, I think it's been done time and time again where like the Viners all came together and it was like the top 20 Viners.
Right.
And like that's how like Vine died because they were like, you're not treating us right, so we're all gonna stop posting and like yeah. So in
So we won't
ways you
stand
guys
up to
kind of
that.
control the TikTok Shop ecosystem in a way.
Right.
I mean, you guys can make or break a product.
I mean, there's a lot of there's some assumed responsibility in that, I guess. Like anything else, I think this group of people is all very thankful. It's not malicious, we share frustrations, of course, but it's the same frustrations a lot of creators have. The difference is that a lot of times we can maybe leverage, our sales or something to help make something happen. Recently, there was a bunch of there was creators in some of our challenges or whatever for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and these creators it's not regular creators. I don't want to speculate what it was for multiple reasons, but they're manufacturing GMV, right? There was not actually sales happening behind it. And I knew that was happening, and for a couple of weeks, I was trying to fight it with TikTok, kind of behind the scenes, because I didn't want to go public with it and create chaos, right? Like, because I feel like it's kind of a big deal. And so I was trying to work with TikTok behind the scenes, and finally, after 2.5 weeks, was able to get those creators removed from all those challenges.
Wow.
So things like that, trying to use, I don't coach or anything, but I have always tried to help other creators with problems and stuff like that, help leverage contacts. And because when I started and I had problems with my account, I was on chat support every single day, knowing they wouldn't give me the answer, knowing they wouldn't help me, but I had no one, right? So I've always had kind of like a feeling like I hate for people to have to go through that. So try to use it for positive.
Being in that group of creators, how competitive are you with each other?
I think individually we all are, but we all support each other significantly. I mean, we wouldn't be in those positions if we weren't very competitive people. But everyone wants to see each other win, for sure. I mean, and it's extremely supportive. And nothing feels better than if you're not number one, then your buddy is, that's how I see it. And I know a lot of those people do, but they're all very competitive people. You wouldn't be at that level if you weren't.
I love that. I love that. All right, now let's go back to you. So we're sitting here in a $200,000 warehouse that you've kind of made for yourself. Where did this idea stem from?
Well, I started in my shed, and I quickly outgrew it, especially once I transitioned into doing a bunch of different products. I have a shipping container over there. It was full. I was busting at the seams, and I live on 5 acres. I don't even have a garage though. My house is a carport. So like storing stuff was always an issue. So I knew I wanted to build a shop. I needed a bigger place to just put stuff, whether it be for TikTok or just for my personal stuff, like my lawnmower couldn't even go somewhere. So it kind of, when that thought process happened, I was building the shop. As I was putting the plans together, I started adapting it to make it into the perfect backdrop, right? That's what I thought, because I wanted it to be a place to where I could create content easily, because at the setup at the time in the shed, I had to move everything and have this little corner to work in without it being extreme, just look like there was junk everywhere. And I felt like if I can make it set up to where I can always have a place to record something, right? Then I think it would make my life a lot easier. And so that's why you see all the big glass doors and everything. My thought process behind that was you can't really clutter a door, you can have Christmas trees and stuff in front of them, but it was always it felt like a free, easy place to record in front of. And so as that was happening, as this was being built, I kept growing on TikTok, and heck, even when I was moving my stuff into this, when I first moved into it, I started moving all my tools and stuff in here, like treating it as like a shop. And then I quickly realized, I was like, I got to dedicate it 100% almost to all my TikTok stuff. So it's evolved, it keeps evolving, but I wish it was bigger.
Yeah, bigger?
Yeah,
Do you think you're going to expand it?
I don't know. I hope, I would hate to have to do that, but I was just joking with, I think it was with Sarah, that, I almost need another one just to put like my vehicles and like, my,
Yeah.
like, cause
Right.
there's very little in here of personal stuff. I mean, if you look around, it's all related for like, it's almost like my work office, And so people that have a business, they have their office, and all their warehouse or whatever with all their products. That's kind of what this has turned into. So I don't know. Maybe one day we'll have another one.
You mentioned to me that you're always like getting new products. How do you decide which products you're going to keep and which products you're getting rid of?
It's a very tough game to play. I'll tell you that. And a lot of times nowadays, I am communicating with sellers to try to figure out what stuff is maybe at end of life, that they're not producing anymore. I try to take that route. There's plenty of products that I've gotten rid of that I had to get again, though, because, I just, for whatever reason, didn't think it was going to restock or I didn't have success with it. And then all of a sudden it got really popular on TikTok. So I decided to run it again. So that's a tough game to play. And oftentimes I get it wrong. But in order to do this at this level, you've got to have some sort of outflow. Constant inflow is impossible. Like I hit a point to where you could fill this. If I didn't take anything out in 6 months, you probably couldn't walk through here, right? So.
And then what's your process for getting rid of the products?
Combination of my brother-in-law comes and picks up a bunch, and it's kind of an opportunity for him to make some money. He sells them online, and stuff that we can't sell, we donate.
And then how often are you getting new products?
Every day.
Who orders them?
A lot of time, mostly me.
So you're on your phone all day?
All day.
If there's something that catches your eye, you're ordering it?
Yep.
And you pretty much get approved for anything you want at this point?
Much. Yeah.
What's the coolest thing that you've gotten?
Man, that's a tough one. The sauna was pretty cool.
The sauna is crazy.
The sauna's cool. I do enjoy all the kitchen appliances and stuff. What's funny about having all of those is I don't really use them that much because I try to keep them like new and nice for videos. I like I get Boot Barns on there, so I get a bunch of jeans and stuff. That's all cool. I like I've always liked a wide variety, so it's hard for me to pick a single product, to be honest with you.
When we were doing the warehouse tour, we met Sarah, which is working under the company now. When did you hire her?
Just recently, in October, I believe.
And then what is her criteria?
She basically takes care of everything that comes in here. She kind of manages the shop, and deals with me, puts up with me. She keeps it all organized, unboxes stuff for me, lets me know what's here, helps me find stuff. And then, I record videos all night and make it all a mess, and she doesn't yell at me. So
what is the hours that she's working here right now?
It's like 9 to 5, 10 to 5.
Yeah. Do you ever?
I'm flexible.
Do you ever feel like there's not enough for her to do around here?
No.
There's always something.
There's always something to do. And what's fun is we're also gonna start. She actually made her first shop video.
Oh wow.
We haven't posted it yet, but we're gonna start also doing, getting her set up on shop. So because I think it's too good of an opportunity. And if you're gonna be hanging out here with me anyways, seeing all the stuff, having access to all the products, I think, it's a good opportunity to try to do it.
How she just stopped whenever we started talking about it. If you were to give advice to a creator that wants to make their first hire, what would you tell them?
That's a tough one. I would say you're gonna have to hire someone that you're okay with being in your bubble all the time. And a lot of TikTok Shop creators do this by themselves, and that's surprisingly hard to adapt to. Luckily for me, Sarah's been a friend of mine for a very long time, and probably the only friend even that I would ever hire. So we get along well. Like I said, she tolerates me pretty well. So I would say, depending on what level you're at, obviously changes, how much you can afford to pay someone, or I would say make sure you get a quality person instead of just trying to get anyone, because if you spend too much time trying to make that person work for you, then you're not going to have the benefit from it, right? Luckily for me, she came in here and I was just like, you see what's the problem, right? And she took over from there. So which works for me because I can stay focused on what I'm doing, and that becomes an added benefit, you know. And I'll say since I hired her the first month after, I doubled. So
Incredible.
I
I
think
love
that's a
that.
good start, right?
That's a good start. So you were helping her with TikTok Shop. Have you helped like friends and family?
Yes, actually, one of my buddies has gotten on TikTok. He was one of my friends. He's been a friend for a long time too. He doesn't live here in town, but he's had a good background in social media, understands it all, and he's been doing TikTok for a few months now, and has been profitable. He, you know, I think he's gone up in sales every single month so far, and making, you know, a few grand, I think, a month, and
That's
so.
awesome.
And again, I don't take a ton of credit for like truly teaching him because I'm a bad coach, I feel like. But that's my only example of truly taking someone, you know, from my life outside of TikTok and getting them on board. And I'm glad he's been successful with it.
That's incredible. I love that. I mean, if there's creators that are listening right now and you were to give them some advice, I mean, what's some of the stuff that you would start with?
First off, everyone says this, but don't be like post the content, right? Like you're gonna get it wrong at first. I mean, it's inevitable. It's almost I joke. I played baseball my whole life, and so I kind of I call content like it's almost like they say if you bat 300, you make the Hall of Fame, right? And that means you failed 70% of the time. So I kind of feel like this is the same way. Like I've done a ton of content in the time that I've done this, and so I have a ton of videos that make sales every single day, but I have more videos that don't, right? So even today, I have videos that will not produce a sale. But at the beginning, it's hard to get past like your friends and your family and everyone seeing your stuff. But don't worry about that, you know, if you truly want to do it, because that will impact how you do things, and you need to learn from a fresh mindset, not one afraid to be judged.
For sure, for sure. What some of the questions that I wanted to get into now that people were asking about, you know, what would they ask for a big creator? How has it been with like taxes and things getting into that world?
It's a pain. I have someone taking care of all of it now, so I don't have to. But you know, it's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of write-offs, pay a lot in taxes. You just have to budget for it appropriately. I do the thing where you pay quarterly, and as long as once you get into a position to where you're pretty secure financially, it's not that big of a deal, right? You just have to. I have money moved to accounts based off what is budgeted to go for taxes, and it gets paid. You know, and if you start trying to quantify it, sure, it's a lot. You know, but it's a lot if you make a regular paycheck at a job. You know, if you actually look at that paycheck, it's 30% and something like that. It's the same here. The only difference is it just comes through my hands first. But yeah, it can, if you don't have someone helping you, it can be pretty intimidating.
So hire some help.
Yeah.
You would say.
Yeah,
Okay.
I outsource that.
We got some questions from some of the people. Jordan Theodore
What's up,
asked.
Jordan?
He said, "Ask him if his mic he's using is AI." I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
He's so my video for the Mayono mic, it has probably been one of the highest GMV maxed ad videos ever, and it gets played constantly. And so all my friends joke because everyone can recite that whole video word for word, and that's what he's talking about right
That's
there.
hilarious.
Because at the beginning, that's what I say. I don't even remember, but like, yeah, my mic's it's AI, and everyone, even me, I am so burnt out on that video because it plays constantly. But yeah, that's funny.
That's awesome. And then Christian said, "How do you maintain this huge workshop?"
I don't. Sarah does. I mean, honestly, I did. Look, what's hard for me to wrap my head around is how long I did it without having help. And it was chaotic, but when I watch what, you know, someone does all day long in here, when I was trying to do that and content, it makes me even more thankful and reassures me that getting help was the right decision. If I wanted any chance of restoring some of my personal life back, it was definitely needed. And maintain this level, I had to have help. But yeah, it was tough before. I mean, it was nonstop. Like I've never worked more in my life than I have doing this.
From a mental perspective, like I know that you're obviously at different levels, but how do you handle those low months? when the days just aren't hitting like you want?
Right. The mental part of this is, I think, a very important part of it, and something that I've gone through the same challenges as just about anyone else doing it, and I constantly learn from. And it's not easy. And I'll say one thing, if I'll get specific about one thing that it's been brought up a few times recently, and I've tried to like talk to a few people about it. But one thing people don't talk about much is if you have a really big successful wave, one of the hardest parts mentally is the backside of that wave, right? Because you saw all this success, and that wave, you're going to have to ride the backside of that wave, inevitably, right? No matter how big the wave is, you're going to have a backside of it. And if that's like the first time you've gone and had a big peak, it can be very difficult mentally to navigate the way back down. Because you don't want it almost feels like it's going to keep going down to the bottom, right? Like, because you're just watching your numbers go down and down and down. And that's something that I have gone through, and I've had to teach myself and reassure myself, and I still find myself falling into those same mental battles. But what I've done that's helped is look at TikTok Shop creators constantly, like, we look at our sales daily, right? And I set myself that goal that I told you, $100,000 of commission a month. I can't tell you how many times I've hit that number in the last, I didn't think I was, and then in the last 5 days, all of a sudden it blew up and I hit it. So if I would have stressed all month about that, I wouldn't have been in a position to be able to be successful at the end of the month. But it takes a lot of trust. Like, you got to trust yourself. You got to trust, the process, and you can't look at it as day to day. You got to set yourself a goal and give yourself leniency within. Okay, so I set myself a goal of 100 grand for a month. It's 5 days left, and I'm only at 60. Like, what are you gonna do? You can be hard on yourself because you're not there yet, or keep working and trust that you're not at a month yet, so you can't judge yourself on that goal yet. I've learned to take the latter approach, and that's helped a lot. I mean, it's because I can't tell you how many times I've thought there's no way I'm hitting it this month. There's no way, and then it hits. So,
as a successful content creator, that you've been doing this for so long, how have you been able to maintain this month after month after month after month?
There's a long period of time that I could have told you, or I would have even told you that there's no way it's going to happen again next month. There's no way I can keep doing this month. I think it's still hard for me to believe that, everyone said that there's no way to be that consistent. And I don't think you can be that consistent without constantly adapting, constantly trying new things, pushing outside your boundaries, and studying, right? I absorb as much content. I absorb way more content than I make, honestly. I try to see what's working, when it's working, why it's working. I try to plan appropriately now for different seasons, for different sales. I try to improve my relationships with the sellers. I think all those things really go into what it takes to be consistent now, because it's not one individual thing is going to hold you through every month, right? You have to have all those things in place, so if something is lacking next month, or you're having an issue with this, all your eggs aren't in that basket, right? I think what's interesting is, you'll probably find this one interesting too. For as much GMV as I've done, how much I've made, I've never had a video over like 11.5 million views. Never. And I know tons of people that, that's not that crazy of a feat these days, right? I've never had one over that. But on an individual day, I probably sell more different SKUs or individual products than anyone else. Like 250 different products a day. And so I'm basically snowballing from a ton of content over a long period of time of a bunch of different products from a bunch of different sellers. So my eggs aren't ever in one basket anymore. Like they're spread out everywhere, which I think helps a lot. Because you can watch all your websites today, virals and stuff, and all these people, that have these big viewed, but then if you go look at the GMV numbers, I'm still, right there at the top, but I don't have a video that's done, I didn't have a video today that did more than 100,000 views, but yet I did, $100,000 in GMV today. So how does that work, right? Like it's just a bunch of different products now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I see the same with like big creators like you, Matt, Ali. You guys all do so many different products. So I think it's good to note on that. Um, wow, this interview's been super insightful. I mean, is there anything that like we didn't touch on or?
I mean, I could go on forever with this stuff, but no. Thank you. This is cool.
Dude, thank you so
Shop
much for
House has
having
been
us.
blowing up.
I appreciate that. I mean, the way we see it, we're still like on the tip of the iceberg. Like we haven't even touched where we want to be yet. But glory to God, you know, we're working day by day, so it's all step. But I'm grateful that you having us, bro, and for giving us access to this whole spot. It's just been insane. Okay, so for the people, I guess let's really leave them down with what like. So the day to day, you're doing how many videos per day?
I try to do about 10 on my main account, and my goal is 5 on my backup account. I've not been doing that. Don't go fact check that. I've been maybe doing 5 a week on that account lately.
How many accounts do you have?
2.
2 accounts.
It used to be 3. Since when I started and I had so many issues with accounts getting locked up, I never wanted all my eggs in one basket that way either, right? Like, because I didn't trust at that time that I wouldn't maybe get locked up or something. I don't really worry about that anymore, but I do think it's beneficial to have multiple accounts, just so you can. Sometimes things don't work on one account and they work on the other, and so it changes how you assess your content.
And then what would you describe your videos as? Like product reviews?
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a product review guy, especially in this current environment of very ad-heavy TikTok shop. Those videos convert well for me. They don't go as crazy viral as like skit style or more organic style, but they convert a lot better. At the beginning when I started TikTok, it was all about trying to be as organic as possible. And I think that still has that's why the skits and stuff work so well. But for me, it's definitely product reviews.
How can one tap into the ad spend that's available?
So ad spend, I think one thing I think people get confused on is that like the way GMV Max works now, it does give everyone an opportunity. Like it gives you as a new creator almost a better opportunity than ever before, because you're getting the same shot at that. Like the algorithm tries your video out with that same ad spend, right? So if you hit with a video that's converting like organically, then GMV Max is going to make that blow up 10x, more. So I think focus on your quality of content. You focus on your hooks. You focus on that organic conversion, because if you're doing it with a product that has ad spend behind it and you hit, GMV Max doesn't care if it's me or you making that video. It cares about the statistics behind it, right? If you're getting people to stay and watch it, if it's converting sales, if it's getting engagement, GMV Max, that they're like, okay, let's run with it, right? And then from there, it just turns into how well does it convert based off how many ad dollars are spent. And a lot of times we don't have very good control of that. That's just, the nature of it. But yeah, I think you have a better shot than ever with ad spend, and I would encourage people to try it.
What do you feel like is the biggest key to getting that conversion rate the highest possible?
Product selection. I think that's a big one. You obviously have to have a product that people need or want, satisfies a need or solves a problem. But I think if you pick the product in the right, I chase a lot of sales these days, and try to emphasize products that are on sale, because I think TikTok still is kind of like a budget buyers type of platform right now. The average cost per item purchased on TikTok keeps increasing, but I still think it's a budget buyer mentality type platform. So focusing on some sales stuff, I think plays a big role in it.
So where do you go from here? Where does the Lush brand go from here?
I'm trying to. I started going cross-platform, meta platforms. I started some YouTube Shorts, LTK, and in 2026, I'm gonna focus a lot on personal branding too. We talked about that briefly before, but I think it's important, especially in my position as where I'm at now, and for reasons that are beneficial to me growing, and reasons for beneficial for me protecting all my content. And I think there's a lot of opportunities. I think we're only at the beginning of TikTok, so I think I've fortunate to be positioned in a place to where I can kind of decide those paths, and I think growing my personal brand is very important. So trying to diversify, again, I said it multiple times now, but not all my eggs in one basket, even not all of them in TikTok Shop, but monetizing on other platforms I think is very important. And so I'm hoping 2026 I have much more balance spread across multiple platforms and work on personal branding.
I love that. Well, man, thank you so much for having us. I mean,
I love it.
gosh, is there anything we missed or anything you want to touch on to leave it off?
I'm sure we did, but you know where to find me.
Let's go. Guys, all of his links will be down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Brandon, again, can't thank you enough, brother. Thank you so much.
sir.
We'll see you guys soon. Boom.